Welcome to all. This is the fifth video on the budget topic, and this is also the final video. Final video because this completes the budget whole topic. Okay. This video is completely related to the terms which are mentioned in the budget document. Okay, this is the budget document of year 2023. 2023-24. Okay. Uh, this video is I'm already mentioned is completely related to the terms which are mentioned in the budget document, because these terms are related, are very important for the examination point of view. Okay, those terms are revenue deficit, effective capital expenditure, revenue deficit, effective revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, and primary deficit. Okay, this topic or this video is completely depend upon how much you know about the budget, structure of the budget, or component of the budget. Okay, means I made a video on that topic, that is structure or a component of the budget. That is the third video on the budget playlist, is in the budget playlist. Okay, because it is completely depend upon these terms. Okay, these terms, revenue, receipt, capital, is like that. Okay, uh, let's begin this video. I take the first term, that is revenue deficit. Okay, revenue deficit means they are given 10 minus 1. What is 10? If you can see here, this is the 10 revenue account. Revenue account nothing but revenue expenditure, because this term which comes under the total expenditure. Okay, then minus 1. Where is 1? Revenue receipt. Okay, so the revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt, we get a formula. I given the formula, revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. Okay, then what it means, just understand the numbers, then I at the end I give the essence or the significance of this term. Okay, revenue, see, revenue expenditure is 35 lakhs something. Okay, this number, and revenue receipt is 26 lakhs something. Okay, revenue expenditure means we spend something, we spend the money. Okay, means here the government spending the money, that is 35 lakh something, but we get only 26 lakh something, 26 lakh crore something. Okay, is it shortage of fund or surplus of fund? It is a shortage of fund, because the revenue, for revenue expenditure, revenue receipt is not sufficient. It is just 26 lakh, but revenue expenditure is 35 lakh. Yes or no? This shortage of fund we called as a revenue deficit. Deficit means shortage. Why shortage? Because revenue receipt is less. Okay. Then what is the significance of this term? If the revenue deficit is more, means very big. If the term is very big, then it means revenue expenditure is more. Yes or no? Revenue expenditure is more. For example, it is 8 lakh year revenue deficit. Okay, why it is 8 lakh? Because revenue expenditure is more than the revenue receipt. Yes or no? What it means, we know revenue expenditure is just the expenditure for day-to-day administration. It is not creating any asset to the country. Okay. For that, if the revenue expenditure is very high, we need this much amount of at any cost. At any cost. What government do? It divert the fund. For example, it divert the fund from the other sources, other sources. For example, if the capital receipt is like this is something 18 lakh, this we take the amount from here, or we borrow the money from the public to just to fill the gap of revenue deficit. Means we are spending the money for revenue expenditure more, we are not spending money for capital expenditure, asset creation for the country. This is the significance of revenue. That's why it is very danger or it is very bad for the economy. Because if the revenue deficit, let's assume revenue deficit, if the revenue deficit is zero, then the amount refund can be used for other purpose. Okay, but here is the deficit is exists. We use the we use the fund which can be used somewhere else. Okay, but here we use that fund to fill this gap. That's why it is bad for the economy. Okay, this is the revenue deficit. Then what is effective revenue deficit? Okay, this is very important. Effective revenue deficit, the same term we drag we take this, but we had the effective deficit, effective revenue deficit. Then what it means? They given 50 minus 12. Where is 50? This is the revenue deficit minus 12. This is the granting aid for creation of the capital asset. Okay, let's understand. We have to know something here. Okay, see, I think this is visible. Yeah, no, visible. No. Revenue expenditure as three things. One is revenue expenditure, the general thing, salaries, like say, salary payment, or day-to-day administration, like there's something. Um, Very general expenditure. Okay, another one is the interest payment, means the government borrow the money for the every year, every day, and for that it need government need to pay back the interest. Okay, that is interest payment, also revenue expenditure. And there is one something, grants and aid for creation of the capital asset. See, this is the expenditure incurred by the states, but fund is given by center. Okay, center means union government, to whom? State government. Okay, but central government is considering this fund as a revenue expenditure. We know what is revenue expenditure. It is not creating any asset at all. Okay, but this is the head, or this is the fund used for creation of the capital asset. Who is using your state, but who is giving? Center. The center is considering this as a revenue expenditure. Yes or no? But this expenditure is actually for capital asset creation. Okay, there is something we need to consider here. Okay, because we include this under revenue expenditure or revenue expenditure, but this creating the asset at the end. Okay, that's why we remove this part, grants in aid for creation of the capital asset. Okay, to know very exactly what it means, we need to understand revenue expenditure. What is revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure is not creating an asset, but it is creating asset. So that we remove the revenue, we remove this thing from the revenue deficit part. Why we removing? Because revenue deficit, what we learn from revenue deficit is the deficit because of the because of what? Because of just for administration purpose, but just for not creating the any asset, but this creating the asset. That's why we remove this part from the revenue deficit. Then only we get effective. What is the exactly what is the effective revenue deficit? What is exactly the deficit due to the revenue expenditure? Okay, that's why we get the we include this term. This is very recently included, I think 2010. Okay, at that point time they included. Okay, why we need to understand why we need effective revenue deficit? Because we included this term, capital creation expenditure, as a revenue expenditure. Okay, it is wrong to consider this part. So if you can see here, 8 lakh something is the revenue deficit. What is the effective revenue deficit then? 40, 4 lakh, 4 lakh crore something. So this considers, okay, it is good. Okay, there is a part in the revenue deficit which is for capital creation. Okay, it is good, but even though after we even though if we get more number effective revenue deficit after deducting the grants in aid for creation, okay, it is bad for the economy. Okay, we are getting low number, so it is good because it is creating the capital asset. Okay, then the other one is the physical deficit. It is very simple. Okay, uh, I'm not going to explain this term. Directly go to the gym because it becomes very lengthy video. You can see 9 minus. You can pause and see the what is the terms indicates in these numbers. Okay, just see. Then fiscal deficit is total expenditure minus total receipt, but except borrowing. Okay, just see total expenditure. I would say this is the total expenditure. The formula is total expenditure minus total receipt. Yes or no? But except borrowing, this is the part. They are not taking this part. Okay. This capital receipt combines the total receipt. Yes or no? But while combining this to get a total receipt, we are not taking this part. Okay. Why? You will understand later. Okay. Just see total expenditure. Now you get the formula. Okay, what is the capital expenditure, what is the fiscal deficit then? See, 17 lakh something. Then see what is the borrowing. I take a different color. This is the borrowing, 17 lakh 1786 816. Just see fiscal deficit, 1786 816. Both are same. Okay, what it indicates? Fiscal deficit indicates the government need to borrow. Means government has a this much of capital expenditure, total expenditure, and government has a this much amount of um, receipt also, but they are including this part also in this total receipt. Yes or no? We if we calculate, we if we add this, just concentrate, this one and this one, we get the actual receipt of the government. Okay, this is the total receipt they are given is getting after we adding the borrowing term. Okay, borrowing is to meet this expenditure. Yes or no? Okay, borrowing is for meet this expenditure. After this, borrowing, they get the same. Both are total receipt is equals to total expenditure. Okay, you need to think about this to understand better. Okay, then what it indicates, fiscal deficit is equals to borrowing. Mean this is the total expenditure. Expenditure is something, and total receipt is something government is getting to meet the actual expenditure, estimated expenditure of the government. The government need to borrow. This fiscal deficit gives the number how much country or a government need to borrow the amount from the public or anywhere else. Okay, what it indicates? Actual borrowing of the government. If you see the numbers, both are same. What it indicates? Then we can simply say actual borrowing of the government in the year to meet the expenditure. Okay. Then what is the primary deficit? Primary deficit is just 17 minus 11. Primary deficit is 17. What is 17? Fiscal deficit. And 11. Where is 11? Interest payment. interest payment. Okay, see, we need to understand something. Okay. Interest payment comes under which part? Revenue expenditure. For example, if you see here, where is the interest payment? Revenue expenditure. Yes or no? Revenue. Interest payment comes under revenue. Sorry. Interest payment comes under revenue expenditure. Okay. Just understand that one. Okay. Then primary deficit is getting physical deficit minus 11 means what it indicates means in the physical deficit part. Okay, the physical deficit part, what is the amount of interest payment, what is the percentage, or what is the um, yeah, what is the part of the primary, what is the part of the physical deficit means interest. For example, interest payment is what is 10 lakh. It is interest payment means is just paying interest to the borrowing. Government is borrow something, borrow money from the public. For that it need to monthly payment, the monthly pay the interest over the principal amount. Okay, it has a 10 lakh something. See, this physical deficit 17 lakh. If we minus these two, we get primary deficit 7 lakh something. Means we can say in this physical deficit, the major part or a majority of the part is going just for the interest payment. Means it is not creating any asset. Or we can also say fiscal deficit means borrowing. How much is borrowing? 17 lakh something. Okay, in if the government borrows this amount, this much amount, 17 lakh something, the majority part is just going to 10, the majority part is just going to interest payment. It is not creating any asset. This is the essence of this term, primary deficit. If the primary deficit is going down means interest payment is bigger. Okay, it is the borrowing of the government is not for creating the asset, is for just revenue expenditure. This is the essence of the term. Okay, you need to understand this. Okay, think, pause, think, and mull over it. Okay, just think about it. Okay. The final term, effective capital expenditure. Okay, it is very easy term. We know there is a in the expenditure part, in the expenditure, government expenditure. See, government expenditure is two part. One is revenue expenditure, another one is the capital expenditure. Yes or no? Revenue expenditure, I already said, it is not creating any asset. It is just for day-to-day administration, salary payment, like that. Okay. Capital expenditure is for creating capital asset, infrastructure, road, ports, like that. It is creating the asset for the country. In that by creating that asset, it is beneficial for the economy. Okay, for example, if the country builds a port, if the country built port, then the ships will come from the international market. Okay, it creating the job there. Okay, it will many benefit from the capital expenditure. Okay. Then see the budget document. What is the capital expenditure? Capital account means, because it comes under capital expenditure, sorry, total expenditure, then capital account means capital expenditure. Okay, what is the amount of capital expenditure? 10 lakh something, 10 lakh crore actually. Okay, 10 lakh. Then this is the capital expenditure, but we have a effective capital expenditure. See, I'm already said grants in aid for creation of the capital asset is included under revenue expenditure. See the image, you will get it. Yes, sir. Grants in aid for creation of the capital asset is included under revenue expenditure. Okay, but what is the actual expenditure? This meant for capital creation. So we leave this part under the capital expenditure, because this is also creating the capital asset. We need to calculate, or we need to taken into account as a capital expenditure of the government. That's why we had we had this part 12, okay, sorry, 12, 12, okay, 12 part and 13 part. So we get a total capital expenditure ಅಥವಾ effective capital expenditure. Isn't it? I this is the uh, yeah, that's all I covered in this video. So it is very important to know this term. Okay, I am again mention this is very important. Okay, I hope this video clears your doubt on these terms. Okay, thank you.